Hello everyone. So today I have another quick writing guide video for you. So thank you so much for the support for the first video on beginner's guide to technical writing. So many of you have now asked me some questions on how they can get better at writing, or what are some hacks that can help them become a better writer, a more efficient writer, and all that. So that's why I decided to make this new video. So sorry it took me some time. I had two hackathons this weekend, and I still have to write my blogs every week. So it took me a while, but I finally made these slides and some in this video for you. So hopefully you enjoy it. So let's get started. So for those who don't know me, my name is Victoria. I'm a technical writer, solutions engineer, web developer, and all those stuff. So I own my own blog at low-victoria.com. That's where I publish most of my technical articles and articles on blogging. So yeah, that's what I do. So today I want to talk about some creative writing hacks. So some things that you can start implementing right away to get better at writing. So the first hack I want to talk about is having a writing process, because I think that having a writing process is very good in order to prevent having that writer's block that we can get often as a writer. And also having a writing process, I think, can help you be more efficient. Just having a process in place just makes you feel like it's easier to get things done and get your articles up and running and publishing. So that's why I think this is the first hack. So let me explain a little bit about what a writing process is. So obviously everyone has their own style, but I would say the most basic steps to writing process is having these 5 steps. So the first one is pre-writing. So deciding what to write about. So in the case for technical articles, maybe thinking about what kind of technology you want to use, you want to write about, and then also asking yourself what is the format that you want to write on. So for example, you can write step-by-step tutorial, how to integrate kind of guides, or devlogs. So just all this should be in your head as you're starting a new article. And then next, you need to also figure out how much research you need. And if you do have any research, remember to cite the references in your article. So yeah, it depends on your current knowledge of that topic. And if you know that you need supplementary research, then by all means, go ahead and research. Another question that you might want to ask is, do you need a working project? So for example, if you're having a how to implement a AWS Amplify kind of guide, so you might want to have a working demo to show to your readers so they can refer to it, so your article might have more clarity and all that. So those are some things that you might want to add into your article. Next is also related to it, is having screenshots. So obviously pictures, they're worth 1,000 words. So if you want to include any screenshots, maybe think about what kind of screenshots that you might want. Like, do you want to capture step by step, every step of the way when you're implementing something, or maybe just the essentials, the ones that you think need a picture to describe it better. So yeah, that's usually the typical kind of questions I would ask when I'm drafting a new technical article. And that's step 1. So the next step would be planning and outlining. So that's when you already have your topic decided and you already know what you want to write about. So the first thing I would do is definitely organize the article into headers. So think about what are the main ideas that you want for your article. Think about the flow that you want your readers to read. So it has to be as smooth, as logical, and yeah, not all over the place. So organizing is definitely an important step that I wouldn't skip in the writing process. Another question you might want to think about is, how do you want to convey the information? So again, it's about the way you structure your article, it can make a very huge difference whether from a good and a great article is the structure and the delivery. So yeah, usually for planning, I just use like really skeletal structuring. So just having headers and bullet points. So just really easy, really quick. It's not that hard. So I can show you one of my articles right now. It's not a technical article, but it's an article that I am currently outlining and planning to write soon. So this is about my hackathon experience for this weekend. So yeah, as you can see, I have the basic outline. So this is what I meant by skeletal structure. So it's really a skeleton. There's no words, there's nothing. It's really just the outline itself, like what are the main points I want to touch on. So as you can see, I have the headers. So like I want to break it up into these main topics, and then I also have subheaders if I want to break it down further into different topics. And of course, this is just a draft. It can change. It's always not the writing process is not always foolproof. It's not something that it's fixed and concreted. You can be flexible with it. So yeah, that's something that yeah, I want to show in regards to planning. And the next step would be drafting. So this is when you really write the words inside the headers. You really write whatever you want under that topic. I would say at this point you can write as much as you want, and you can even ignore grammar, spelling errors, so don't get too bothered by it. Just write down your ideas under each header, like the things that you want to write. So writing the meat of the topic. And also you don't have to be in order. You can just write maybe the introduction last if you want to, and then you can write basically the main points you want to touch on first. So it's really up to you. This is where like your creative writing juice is like starting to flow. But also you have to be mindful to keep the topics consistent under each header. So for example, if your header is talking about setting up the client, you cannot just write like server-side code under it, right? So just be mindful of that. So just keep writing in sections, so inside each header. And the goal of this whole drafting process is just to finish it and not be perfect. Because as our first quote for today would be, start writing, no matter what, the water does not flow until the faucet is turned on, by Lewis L'Amour. So yeah, that is very true, because when you start writing, naturally you'll just keep writing more words, and that's how you can slowly build your article from 10 words to 200 to 500 words. So again, this is just a draft. You don't have to care too much about the little details or the grammar, the spelling, and everything. Just let your ideas flow out, and yeah, after that you can go to step 4, which is revising. So this is when I usually would start to really pay attention to some details. I would read the whole article from start to end. I would correct any grammar or spelling mistakes. I would also look for areas of improvement. What are things that I can maybe cut out, or things that I should add to specify certain things or clarify certain ideas that I want to. So I want to make sure that the reader would understand every word that I'm writing. So that's why these are always a good time to do that, by revising and redrafting your article. And after that, of course, you want to make sure that the goal of your article is always consistent. Your article has a purpose that you want your readers to know. And so make sure that you are not digressing too much from the topic. So finding areas that are irrelevant is also just as important as adding more stuff in. So cutting out, removing, and just polishing it. Also, remember to check the length of the article. So technically, I like to keep my article into about 1,000 to 1,500 words, because that's about the ideal reading time, which is 5 to 7 minutes. I think any longer than that would be quite wordy, unless it's a really highly detailed article that you want your readers to read. If not, then I think 1,000 to 1,500 word would be enough. So just be mindful of the length. Don't get too carried away, and if you want to include everything and it goes to about 3,000 words, you might want to think about breaking it up to 2 articles or something like that. So again, asking yourself, is the purpose of the article communicated? So does the reader at the end of reading your article know exactly what you want them to know at the end? So yeah, communicating that clearly would help, usually in the introduction or some in the conclusion. During the revision stage, you can also ask for feedback. So maybe asking the people around you, asking your social communities for more insights, or just any feedback they might have on your article. See if they understand the message, see if they understand any technicalities that you have inside it. If it's a technical article, ask them if they can read the code, if it's readable, and if it's well formatted and all that. So revising is definitely one of the most important steps in the writing process. And after you have revised it, then you can proofread it. So proofread, what's different about revision is that for proofread, it's more detailed and it's more looking at like the small things like punctuation errors, syntax, spelling, and grammar. And also proofreading is when you really want to dive deep into looking at each individual paragraphs and see, does it make sense? Does it communicate the topic clearly and it's well formatted? So look at usually I would look at the introduction and the conclusion paragraphs and check carefully if it makes sense, if they align with each other. And also I want to just look through my whole article, make sure everything is clear, every code is well formatted, the title is good, is satisfying. The cover image is done, it's all in place, and also want to make sure all the tags and other SEO elements, they're also put in place. So these are all the kind of detailed stuff that I would do during the proofreading stage. And then finally, if all is good, I would usually keep it in my drafts until its publishing date, and then I'll publish. Yeah, so that's the typical writing process. And again, everyone has their own process. But these are like the basics, the basic 5 steps that you can start with if you don't have a writing process yet. So this is the one that I would recommend for a more efficient and easier time, so that you won't get stuck in the middle, or if you have writer's block, you can always go back, plan and outline again, and then you can write your draft again. So yeah, this is quite a useful process for me when I'm still just starting to learn how to write. And the next hack I like to talk about is ideation. So many people ask me, how do I find good ideas? What do I write about? And all that. And I always tell them that I think the best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. So this is a quote by Linus Pauling. And I think I agree with that, because anything can be an idea. That's what I believed in. And so having a good idea is just picking that idea among the other ideas that you have. So in order to do that, I'll explain it a little bit more, is that you can read. So by reading, I read a lot. So like news, blogs, books, social media posts, and forums. So all these are areas of inspiration for me, which I think that it applies to anyone too. So by staying curious and staying up to date with the latest events and things going on, you can get inspired, and you can also get new ideas from there. And of course, don't limit yourself to only tech related stuff. You might be a software developer or an engineer, but you can also read other things, like I read things on history, art, music as well, not just on tech. So anything can give you inspiration. So that's what I believe in. But some of my most frequently visited reading platforms is Hacker News, Daily.dev, Dev2, Medium, Hashnote, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So these are some platforms that I do recommend that I myself often read from. And of course, reading is definitely an understatement. It's very, very important, because as Dr. Seuss say, the more you read, the more things you will know, and the more you learn, the more places you will go. So that's why I highly recommend reading. That's why it's my top 1 tip to get your idea, I would say. So here are some examples of my articles that pop up to me, like some article ideas while I was reading, like just random things. So yeah, again, reading really does give you a lot of inspirations and ideas. The next tip I have is to memo everything. So I think ideas can be found pretty much anywhere as long as you know how to make connections and find inspiration within everything. And of course, we cannot ever trust our own memory. So I advise to take a note of every thought provoking or any interesting conversations you might have with your friends, coworkers, acquaintances, as well as even family. And just understanding like the different ideas can lead to more different ideas. So just by memoing things, you can sometimes revisit it, you can take a moment, you can brainstorm, and you can even write your own random ideas that pop up every now and then. And that's how ideas just happen. So by collecting this entire list of many ideas again, there will be one good idea that come out from one of them. And so that's why it's always good to have. And I actually recommend having a physical or digital note, so anytime. So for example, I have my phone, I use that as my digital note, but I also have my physical notebook that I would sometimes bring around. So that's how I will always have something to memo down whenever I can. So some of my personal articles that I've published that comes from like my conversations with people and just my inspiration from just looking at my surroundings, my daily task is all these three articles and even more. And the next tip you can use to get your ideas for articles is reflecting on your experiences. So anything can be writable. Like you can share your experiences. Like if you really have no idea what to write or no idea where to start from when you launch your technical blog, you can definitely use your experiences as a start because it's always good to share and to log your progress, your experience, and people would definitely be interested in just reading from you, learning from your mistakes, and so on. So if you solve an interesting or challenging problem at work, you can write about it. Or if you learn something new that you think it would benefit anyone who read it, then you can share by writing about it. Or if you make a mistake once and you figure out how to overcome something, then please write about it. Maybe you got your first job at tech or something. You can write about it. So again, I believe that stories is how we can share experiences, and your story can definitely help another person learn and grow. And so some of my articles that reflects my experiences are these three. These are just some examples. So I hope you do check it out on my blog. So the final hack that I like to talk about is improving your writing. So we have talked about the writing process, we have talked about the ideation process, and now let's talk about your writing skills itself. How can we improve your writing? Especially if English is not your first language, but you want to write to a bigger audience, so that's why you want to write in English, then this is some things that I have for you. So first, let me just start with a quote by Albert Einstein. Once we accept our limits, we can go beyond them. So this is what I think, in order to improve your writing, the first thing you need to do is realize that you need to improve. Because a lot of people, they're okay with where they are, and that's okay. But if you want to improve, then you need to believe that you have room for improvement. So by accepting your limits and knowing that you can do better, it's only then you can improve. So that's what Albert Einstein was saying. So some simple ways that I believe that can improve your writing is having a structure. So this is part of the writing process of outlining, which is having organized and clear headers. So just that alone kind of help you organize the flow of your writing. It can instantly make someone's writing from like a disorganized, unorganized kind of flow to a better, clearer structure. So just structuring things definitely can improve your writing right away. And you can make sure each header sticks to their focus. So again, if your header is talking about setting up the client side, you do not write anything unrelated under that header. So keep it simple, keep it straightforward, and make sure you well format any code. So the next one would be having tools. So this one, I often stress to my readers that there's no shame in using tools. We are human beings, we're not perfect. Use tools to help you get better. So Grammarly, language tool extension, so these are some of the things that I always use in my day-to-day writing process, is having these tools at my disposal. So using tools. Next is the objective. So again, your article, at the end of the day, you want your readers to do something, to know something after reading your article. And so with that, you need to have a goal. Your article's goal have to be clearly communicated. It has to be clear in what it wants to achieve for your readers, so your readers can also have an easier time understanding what you're trying to say by having the purpose of the article. So be clear on the objective of your article. So for structure, this is just my example of my own article. So I have headers, I have well formatted code, I have subheaders. So this is just an example, a snippet from my article. So some simple ways to improve your writing. So this is part 2, which is writing style. So everyone has their own writing style. So there's no one correct writing style out there. But I would say some rules that you can stick to have a good writing style is to be authentic. So don't forget to be yourself when you write. Sure, for technical articles, you should be more professional, more objective and formal. But still use words that you would use day to day. Use simple words that anyone can understand. So just have that conversational tone, so it feels like when the reader reads your article, it feels like they're talking to you, kind of style. And then you can also be direct to the point, especially in terms of technical articles. People don't like articles that beat around the bush, so try to be as straightforward as possible. Write clearly about what you want when explaining the concepts, and just write in a straightforward manner. So that's kind of the essence of a good writing style, at least for technical articles. So next, another very simple way to improve your writing that I always advise to all my readers is to ask for feedback, because again, it's hard to see yourself, to see your own flaws sometimes. So reach out to people you know, and sometimes they can advise you on things that you can improve on, no matter how small. So that really will help you improve in the long run. And you can also ask people around your community, or even on online communities. There's a lot of people there be more than willing to help you out. If you can also reach out to me, and if I have time, I'll also definitely. I have given tons of feedback to a lot of my readers, which I hope helped them. So yeah, again, ask for feedback. Don't be afraid, because that's how you improve over time, by listening to some great advice from people. So yeah, if you want to know more about writing style, you can check out my article, The Importance of Having Your Own Writing Style, here. I'll link it in the description below. And the last and final tip to improve your writing is practice. Because again, I cannot stress how important practice is. The more you practice, the better you'll be. So I'll end this with a quote of my own, which is, "Practice makes perfect" is not exactly true, but practice does make you a whole lot better, which I believe in, because I don't believe anything can be perfect. You'll never reach perfection, because we are just humans, but by practicing, you can definitely be better. You can definitely improve. You can definitely go beyond what you think you can achieve. So yeah, practice, and it'll surprise you how much your writing can improve by just practicing alone. So thank you. This was a great session. I hope you enjoyed it. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to any of my channels, my social media channels in the slide here. And if you're interested in creating your own personal technical blog, please use my referral link on Hashnode, and then you can create a free blog within 3 seconds. So yes, thank you so much for listening. I hope it has been a helpful session for you. And yeah, have a nice day.